I have a 10-inch pie plate, and I've just gone ahead. If you don't have Polish pottery, make sure you give it a spray. I have Polish pottery. I'm not spraying. Go ahead and put your pie crust in. I just went ahead and pushed it all to the sides. Because remember, we're going to put one on top, okay? So there you go. Now remember, we talked about pie crust and what blind baking is. And that would be if you were going to cook your pie crust, the bottom. And so then you would put a weight on it and then you would cook it for a little bit. You don't need to do that. Because we usually do that like with a fruit pie or something. Thank you, Julie. I appreciate it. Thank you, Lois. All right, so there you go. Now we're gonna start with our vegetables. Now, you know that normally when we do these shows, so I may go a smidge long today, I already have everything cut up. And sometimes I think that that's a little disingenuous because I think you're going, well, it didn't take me that long to do it. So I thought we'd just go ahead and do some chopping. So, you ready? Last sip of coffee and let's get going. Yum. So, I would say that you would use 1 stalk of celery. Now, I'm bad because instead of taking off a stalk, I just go from the end. But we're gonna need about 1/2 cup, and that's usually about 1, okay? All right, so I'm just gonna do a thin slice, chop, if you will, what would probably be a stalk of celery, okay, or 1/2 cup. All right, can you see? I'm gonna make sure I tilt down. So my head may get cut off. Off with her head, right? Okay, so now my kids don't like big pieces, so I'm just gonna run my knife over it after I've diced it one more time and just give it a little chop. That's probably more than 1/2 cup now that I've done that. Okay, into my little bowl. Now you guys probably laugh at me about all the little bowls I use. But remember, if you have it all done, then when it's time to cook, it's so much easier, right? Okay, so there's my celery. The next thing I'm gonna use is 1 carrot. Now, if you have a tiny little carrot, if this is your carrot, although that one's kind of icky, right? If this is your carrot or that is your carrot, maybe you need 2. But this one's kind of big. See how big this one is? And if you like lots of carrots, do that. Now, there are some concerns about do we peel? Do we use the peeler? And do we peel the carrot or do we just wash it? I just wash it. I don't peel it. If you feel like you need to peel it, go ahead. I chop off both ends. Oh, and here's another thing. I got this from Rachel Ray, but it is the greatest thing. I always have a trash bowl. It saves from having stuff everywhere. So you just have a bowl. Doesn't matter what kind of bowl. This one's pretty though, isn't it? It's a fluted Crimson Bell. Okay, trash in the bowl. It's just gonna set over there. Now, again, you can just do coins. That's what they call it when you just slice it like that. You don't want to get things too thick because you want everything to cut about the same, or cook the same time. I'm going to cut it in half. Then I'm going to cut each side in half again. I know, it seems like a little bit more work on the front half. On the big one, I'm going to cut it into thirds on the big end. And then on the, whoa, come back here, slidey. There we go. On the little end, I'm just gonna cut it in half. So basically, we've kind of got little matchsticks. See? Little matchsticks. When I do that, you're a peeler. Yep, gotta have a garbage bowl. Okay, you put a grocery bag in a pitcher and use it as a trash pitcher. Great idea, Maddie. So now I'm gonna put these together. Can you see? They're all there together. Put them in a line. And then I'm gonna hold them and I'm gonna do the chopping method this way so I get a dice, okay? I usually keep one end of my knife on the cutting board and I go up and down and move with my arm, okay? But if you do it a different way, that's fine too, okay? So if I go this way, see? Then I'm getting my nice little dice. I usually go a little faster, but there you go. Okay, so you see that these pieces are about the same size as our celery. And into another bowl, okay? Into the bowl we go. So now we have celery and carrots. We're gonna use about 1/2 cup of each one of them. Remember, this is all the room we have. So we don't wanna get too carried away unless you're making 2. If you're making 2, not a big deal. Okay, so we have celery, we have carrots. Obviously, we're gonna need an onion. And we're only gonna use half the onion. So wholly up to you if you want to cut up the whole thing and use it somewhere else. Since I'm only going to use half, I'm going to cut long ways. So I have like a teardrop now. And I'm going to top off both ends. I know that some chefs have this thing where they leave on one end, and they do, and I just don't like that. I don't know. Okay, so now there it is. And again, I'm gonna go long ways. I don't know if you can see because of my hand. I'm going long ways, then I'm gonna turn it, and now I'm gonna go this way, okay? And that gives me a nice fine dice. Well, the size dice I want. That, and the other thing is, remember, the onion has layers. Didn't Shrek teach us that? Like an onion. Smelly? Moldy? No, donkey. Layers. I got layers. So there you go. Half an onion. We got layers. All right, get another bowl. Because again, this is our prep. We're prepping everything we do. Normally, when you get here, I've already prepped everything. Okay, bowl of onions. Okay, what's next? We are gonna need some, I'm gonna put in a potato, 1 potato. Now, my kids, it wouldn't bother me if the skin was on. So I probably, if this were Philip and I would not peel the potato. I am quite fine eating the peel. But with the girls, sometimes they get a little snarky about potato peels. So for them, I wash the outside of it. And there we go. All right, you saw me peel a potato. Again, I'm gonna cut it long ways, this way. Hey, Cindy. Thank you, Doris, I appreciate it. I'm gonna cut it long ways, so it's in half. See, it's in half. And then just like the onion, I'm gonna cut this way. If you use your fingers to hold it down, then they all stay in a little row, so that when you turn it and you're doing a rock motion, watch. La, 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 la. Oh, I got potatoes flying now. The flying taters, eh? You know potatoes are from Ireland, right? The first chicken pot pies, if you would know, the reason it got the name pot pie was because they were made on ships in pots. Can you believe that? So they used just about everything. Originally, you wouldn't have seen chicken. You would have seen, I need another bowl. Okay. Oh, look, it matches my coffee cup. Annette will be happy. Look, it matches my coffee cup. Yay, Violet Riot. So I'm gonna put my potatoes in here. Originally, you wouldn't see, they would put whole birds in, especially the rich. So you know that song? 4 and 20 blackbirds baked in a pie. Oh, how does that go? When the pie was open, the birds began to sing. Now wasn't that a dainty dish to set before the king? I can't remember how the whole thing went, but there you go. All right, so we have carrots, we have potatoes, we have celery, we have onions. We are gonna need a little garlic. You know me and my roasted garlic, so I have my little container. I'm gonna pull out, I like a lot, but today we'll just do 2 cloves. See how it looks? It's in the olive oil. I've roasted it in the oven and then put it in this little container and covered it with olive oil. 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you're good. Now, I could just put this in whole, but nobody except for me wants a big piece of garlic. So because this is already roasted, it's very soft, I'm gonna take my knife and I'm just gonna press down, okay? If you just press down and smash, look, and move. So now we kind of have this paste on there. You see the paste? I'm still gonna run my knife this way through the paste, just in case, okay? Now, I'm just gonna take my knife and I'm gonna scoop it up. Now it's all on the knife. You see there? I'm gonna go ahead and put this on my onion bowl so I don't use a separate bowl, okay? So I'm just gonna take the knife and scoop it right there. And there, it's right on the edge of our onion bowl, okay? Okay, what else do we need? We're gonna need some frozen peas. Now I said, I think that's why we have pie birds now, to let the steam escape. Yes, these are just frozen peas. And again, about a ½ cup. If you use I'm using a ½ cup of all your vegetables. That's a good rule of thumb. Not everybody puts potatoes in their chicken pot pie. So tell me, do you put potatoes in your chicken pot pie? Do you? Yes, no, maybe. Tell me what you do. Okay, I think that's about it. I think it's time for us to move to the stovetop. Are you ready to go? We're gonna come from a little different angle today, but look what I've done, okay? I'm gonna have to have some milk. My flour is already over there. But so can you see what I've done? This is my mise en place. So I've got all of the things I'm gonna use on one platter. And we're going to the stove. Are you ready? Look, you're so far over there. You can see all of my messy, messy house. All of my messy, messy house. Okay, whoops, whoops. Hold on. There we go. We're sticking you under the oven. How fun is that? Let me tilt you. There we go. Ta-da! You're in a whole different place. Now because I want you to be able to see things, and so that's why we moved you over here. Okay, I put in 3 tablespoons of butter. You see the 3 tablespoons of butter? You do, yes potatoes, always yes. Potatoes weren't originally, you need a fridge like mine, I know. 3 tablespoons of butter. Now, why is this important? Just keep track. If you do 2 tablespoons of butter, that's fine, but then we're gonna use 2 tablespoons of flour. If we use 3 tablespoons of butter, we're gonna use 3 tablespoons of flour. So that's how you remember on your white sauce. It's an equal part of fat, which is our butter, or you could have used oil, but really, come on. Let's use some butter. So that we're gonna let that come to a melt. I've got it on high, but you know, whatever's good. Okay, so now we have all of our things, right? We've already done all this over here. And it doesn't really matter the order that you put everything in, except we wanna save our peas till the very end. The peas don't really need cooking, they just need heated through, okay? All right, I'm gonna start with my carrots because carrots are the hardest thing and they take the longest to cook, okay? So the carrots go in. Quite frankly, I got it on high, do I? Yeah, I'm just gonna dump everything in. You know how I'm about dumping. So there's our potatoes. There's our onions. Oh, I think I may wait on the garlic just a bit. And here's our celery, okay? So about 1/2 cup of all of our vegetables. We're gonna need to stir, okay? Just gonna give that a toss, and then we have to season. Remember, we always have to season. I know that some of you kind of roll your eyes at me and say, you use too much salt. Maybe I do, but I don't think so. I got a little spoon rest here that I'm using. Where is my salt and pepper? Oh, I didn't get it out. That would be bad. Okay, so about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. We need the salt to pull not only the flavor out of our vegetables, but to pull the liquid out. When you use that salt on your vegetables, all the liquid is gonna come out of them too. I like black pepper. If you're not a huge black pepper fan, or you have kids or people who don't like the look of the black pepper, buy white pepper. The taste is very similar. It doesn't have, I don't think, as much of a bite as a black pepper does, but if you're trying to hide the fact that you put pepper in something, that's the way to go. All right, then the last thing I'm gonna put in is some smoked paprika, because you know there has to be smoked paprika in everything, doesn't it? Again, about 1/2 teaspoon. Now, I'm not putting garlic powder in here or onion powder. Why? Because we're gonna put garlic and onions already in here. The reason that we're gonna use powders is when we're not using fresh vegetables, okay? Now, I know that some of you are gonna say, you know what, it's so much easier to use a bag of frozen vegetables. And that's true, it is. And if you're in a hurry, I've done that many times, to just do a bag of frozen vegetables and a can of cream of mushroom or can of cream of chicken soup. It really is the easiest. When you do that, you do have to add garlic powder and onion powder because you're missing some major flavors. The other thing that's gonna be missing from this is parsley, and that's because I don't have any. You love pepper and you use Himalayan salt. I have the Himalayan pink salt. I didn't see a difference. I bought it, and you can see I've used quite a bit, but quite frankly, the kosher salt to me is fine. I like it, it works, so whatever. So again, we're softening our vegetables. See in there? Veggies are softening. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and add my garlic. See the garlic that I just put on the side of the bowl? In we go. That's when you know things are awesome. Because when you're cooking onions, that's fine. But once you start to smell the garlic, you're like, yeah, we are cooking now, baby. Doesn't matter what you make. Reading a cookbook called Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, and the saltiness in different forms is key. Fascinating book. Yeah, I guess it is, Linda. I should read that. Okay, still sauteing. Cook, cook, cook. Don't forget we have our peas. Now, we're gonna need 2 other things right here. We're also gonna need some chicken. Let me get that. Okay. Remember my Instapot? Okay, wait, I have to tell you. Who said they had one? First of all, I've used it twice now. I've been very impressed with the meat that came out of it. But forever, I thought it was called an Instapot. I-N-S-T-A. Doesn't that sound cool? An Instapot. It's not. I just looked on mine. It's called an Instant Pot. An Instant Pot. Not an Instapot. I think it should be an Instapot. Don't you? Instapot. Okay, let me move that. Okay. I had leftover chicken. And so I took the leftover chicken and look, it's just shredded up. Now, this is about 2 cups of chicken. I'm only going to use a cup of this in here because I did a half a cup of all my veggies and I'm using a half a cup of, or a whole cup of chicken. If you don't like chicken that much, use less. If you like chicken more, add more. You can dice it. You don't have to shred it. You can use frozen chicken if you don't have. You can use a can of chicken. That's good too, okay? So we're gonna use this, but not just yet. We're gonna need some milk, half and half, or cream. Normally when I make this recipe, I use half and half or heavy cream. Because of yesterday's show, I used it all up and there was not going to the store. So this is just whole milk. And we're gonna use a half a cup of whole milk. We're also gonna need about a cup of chicken broth. Now this is 14 ounces, so it's almost 2 cups. So I'm not gonna use the whole can. And we're gonna need flour. Hey, any of you tell me, I thought it was Instapot too, didn't you? I know. Tell me, those of you on here, do any of you have any of the Polish pottery canisters? Do any of you have any of the canisters? Tell me if you do. If nobody has any, then I don't have to do this. But if you have a Polish pottery canister, let me know. I got a tip for you. Okay, so our veggies are softened. Look at that. Look how lovely that is. Oh, so good. And I don't know if you can tell, but we're getting some brown bits. I love the brown bits, right? It's a technical term. Technical term, brown bits. Okay. So to this, we're gonna add our milk. Now our milk is gonna do 2 things. Our milk, we're gonna add our flour first. Our flour is gonna do 2 things. One, it's gonna soak up into some of that liquid and we're gonna brown it a little bit because, you have, Jody's, yours is coming. Kathy has several. Joanne has, yes. I'm gonna show you a tip, just a second. Here's the tip. You can't label them. But, look, I did. So all I did is my husband, I don't drink wine, but my husband does. So I had him save some corks. And so then he drilled a hole in the cork. I don't know if you can see the side. He drilled a hole in the cork. And then I just took a Sharpie and wrote what was in here. And then tied it on with a ribbon. And so that sits on my counter, whoops, like that. Flour. And there you go. You want to get the fermentation. Oh, it's good too. Okay, we're gonna put in our flour. We use 3 tablespoons of fat or butter. So we're gonna use 3 tablespoons of flour, okay? So we're just gonna sprinkle that on top of the veggies. I know you're going, ugh, really? Quick and easy. There we go. Beautiful canister. All right, now we're gonna give this a stir. Any of you who like Cajun food, this is how, you make a roux. It's fat and flour. And you cook, before you add the liquid, you want to cook that flour down just a bit. And the reason is, the flour is going to soak up that oil, that fat. And so we want to then let it brown a bit or cook to get rid of the flour taste. We don't really want a flour taste. Okay, so now it looks kind of pasty in here. Let me give you a look. Can you see? Kind of pasty. But that's okay, because now we're gonna add our milk. So, half a cup of milk. Just go ahead and dump that in there. And now we're gonna stir some more. Now this is helping us make our cream sauce, right? Oh. Now, with just our cream in there, It looks nice, but it's still way too thick. And it's gonna thicken up and even more. It's gonna tighten up. So look, all the liquid is almost gone. So to this, that's why we're gonna go ahead and add our cup of chicken stock. I didn't measure it, my apologies. But it's a 14-ounce can. It's a little, you know, it's a little more than half. Okay, so now, giving it a stir, we want to separate anything, and we want to make sure that you take your spatula and kind of dig on the sides and on the bottom to get all the brown bits, you know, that technical term, off, because all of the brown bits are flavored. It's not burnt flavor, it's browned flavor. So there you go. I know, isn't that idea great? Even with the fermentation crock mess, it'll work with that too. Okay. We already seasoned our vegetables, so we don't need to season this. This is good. We have enough salt, enough pepper, and enough paprika in here. We're gonna go ahead and add our peas now. You dump those suckers in there. And we're gonna put our chicken in. So again, remember, I'm only using a cup of chicken because I don't need any more, okay? Half a cup of each of the vegetables and a cup of chicken. To me, it's a good, I'm gonna turn the power off, the fire off. Give that a stir. Okay, now look at it. Look, look, look. Is that gorgeous? Look how gorgeous. Okay, we're gonna move. You ready to move? We're gonna move again. I think we're gonna move again. So are you ready? Hold on. If you had too much coffee, don't get too jazzy. All right, we're moving back to our pie crust. Come with me. Come with me, and you'll see a world of pure imagination. Okay, we're back. We're back. Now, here we are, and we have our one pie crust already in. See how we already put our pie crust in there? So, we basically cooked everything. I'm gonna move the cutting board, move this over, and then I'm gonna pour towards you so you can see. We'll see how I do this. All right, can you see it? Look at that. Look at that. Now, why, Cindy? Why go to all this trouble? Because, yeah, it took us all of like 15 minutes. That's a lot of trouble for you. Why go to all that trouble when we could simply either use a can of vegetables? Ugh. Ugh. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that to yourself. Be yummy. Or a bag of frozen. And the frozen ones are okay. I'm just not so certain that green beans need to be in a chicken pot pie, but that's okay. Hey, Kathy, if you want to take your pot pie to a whole new level, make one after Thanksgiving. Yes, I've done the leftover turkey and added stuffing. Done that too, Christy. Great idea. If you don't have chicken, you can use turkey, obviously. And anything can be made into a pot pie. Just like my mom said when she wrote me the little notes before I went to school. Okay, let's taste this, because we should taste. Oh my gosh. So much better. I promise you that if you took a lick of this and then you opened a can of cream of chicken soup or cream of mushroom and you did that, not the same thing. It is not the same thing. Look, Jessica wants me to put the chicken hat on. Look. Bark. We got the chicken today. The chicken is, look. Bark. Okay, no more chicken hat. She's always wanting me to do silly, goofy things. We need another pie crust. Okay, so luckily for us, the package comes with two. I always think that's a lovely thing. So you can basically put anything in. If you have leftover roast, you can take the leftover roast potatoes and carrots and make a stew, or make it like a stew with the sauce we just did. Instead of chicken stock, you can use a little beef stock. I'm pulling it out. Come on out of there. Come on out. There we go. And then you'd have like a beef pot pie. So those are all good. All good. Okay, so open, we're unrolling. I've already torn it because you know, that's how I roll. I unroll, that's how I unroll. Okay, I've unrolled all the way down, and then we're gonna lay this on top. I applaud all of you who make homemade crusts. I went to high school with a girl, her name is also Cindy, and she is like the queen of pies. And so I'm friends with her on Facebook, and she is always making homemade pies and homemade crusts. And everything she makes looks, oh my gosh. I mean, just awesome. Everything homemade, everything lovely. Now, I've just gone around the edge. Can you see? I've just gone around the edge with my knuckles. And because if you do your fingers, you might go through. We don't want to do that. And just push down, right? So that it's like that. La 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 la. Now, I didn't do very well. Look at me. I kind of went over here, right? I didn't lay it even. So you have two options. If you're a crust person, if you like the crust, you can just roll it over. Or you can take your scissors and just cut it off. I mean, wholly up to you. I just cut it off. Okay, there we go. Now, I would say the other thing you want to do is cut a hole in the top. Mother always did a cross. Do you do a cross? I don't know what you do, but Mother always did the cross. And so she took her knife and she just did in the middle. She would go one down and then across. And there's our little cross in the pie. Why do we do a cross in the pie? You can do one slit. You can do however. Some people do slits other places too. Mama just did the one in the middle. And it's so that the steam can escape. We don't want the pie crust to get big, 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 and then poof, chicken pot pie all over your oven. I mean, cleaning the oven is gross anyway, so let's not have to do that. The other thing I would suggest, depending on how much you made, how big your pie pan is, this is a 10-inch. Pardon me, 10-inch, and it's about, I don't know, almost 2 inches tall. So this is fine. I don't think I'm gonna have any problem, but I would say that it's probably a good idea for you to get a baking sheet and either set this on the baking sheet before you put it in the oven, or set this on the shelf and put a baking sheet on the bottom shelf underneath it. And that way, just in case there's a bubble over, just in case there's an oopsie, your whole house is not smelling like burnt chicken pot pie. You don't want to do that. No burnt chicken pot pie, right? Okay, so we're gonna put that, now I do 350 degrees. And basically, you know, that's a thing for me. I pretty much do 350 degrees for everything. And here's the reason why. A lot of them, she said you have to bless it before you bake it. I like that, Beth. I like that. You have to bless it before you bake it. Okay, well, I do 325 or 350 all the time, and it has nothing to do with my pottery. I know some of you might think, oh, it's because she's using Polish pottery. No, no, no. I could put this in here at 400 degrees and it wouldn't, my Polish pottery is fired at 2,000 degrees, so it is fine. The thing is, I want my crust to slowly bake. And I want it to have a nice, solid, yummy color. And I don't want it, if it's too high, to me, it seems the ends get too brown before the center gets brown, and I just don't like that. So there you go. If you have that problem, if your crust is getting overly brown before this does, my mom used to take a piece of foil and just cut the circle, right? And then, so she would make a little circle all the way around that just fit over the crust. You certainly can do that. But I'm okay with this. How long do you bake it? I bake it for about 30 minutes. Again, keep an eye on it. Everything we've just put in here is done. The chicken's done, the carrots, the celery, the onions, the garlic, the peas, everything is done. Everything was pretty much heated. The only thing we're doing is cooking the crust. So about 30 minutes. Again, keep an eye on it. It's just however you like your crust. You like a dark crust? Cook it longer. You like a lighter crust? Just make sure it's done. Okay? So there we go. I have to tell you, I really liked looking at my old home economics recipe cards. The whole chipped beef on toast was hilarious, right? First of all, it says, this is what it says, prepare white sauce. Well, now that's not on here because you have to have this card that says white sauce, right? So you have to have the white sauce. That's why these were together, I'm sure. Prepare white sauce, which we did. To the white sauce, add the dried beef. Now, a lot of people have no idea what dried beef is because it calls for half a cup to 3/4 of a cup dried beef. People probably don't even know what dried beef is. 3 slices of bread because it's open face and a teaspoon of butter. Anyway, SOS or chip beef on toast. So anyway, there you go. I like that my mom cared enough, and you know, my youngest daughter is going to college. She's going to be in a dorm for a while, so I don't think we're at the point where I prepare this for her. But if you have kids that are going to college or grandkids, I really think this, when they're moving into their first apartment, what a great gift. Now, maybe they think that this is a little too old-fashioned, or although perhaps you might want to take the sticker off of it when you give it to them. But even something like this, with ideas about how to stretch your food dollar, I just think it's a good thing. It's handy, and it's something that a lot of people don't teach our kids anymore. Hormel has it in a glass jar. Oh, I guess they still do. Well, there you go. I hope some of you got to watch our Rebecca's and I's Milk and Pepsi last night. Here's my leftover Pepsi from our Laverne and Shirley Milk and Pepsi taste. She thought it tasted kind of like a root beer float. I thought it was okay. It did kind of taste like a root beer float, but not enough like a root beer float that I would want to drink it all the time. And I like Pepsi, but I don't like milk, so maybe that was it. I don't really care for milk. I drink almond milk. I don't really care for the taste of actual milk, so maybe I'll try that. Anyway, I hope you have fun today. We kind of went back to the basics. Look, she's over my shoulder, isn't she? There she is. She's back there, isn't she? Remember, if you're looking for the recipes, to go to YouTube. Our YouTube channel is called Cindy's Kitchen, and all of our recipes and all of our old shows are on there. Today, this episode will be posted around 1 o'clock or by 1 o'clock. Don't forget to subscribe. If you subscribe, then you get notifications every time that it gets loaded. How cool is that? I don't know what the peace sign is. Oh, she's doing rabbit ears. Nice. All right. Well, there we go. I did need ice cream to that float. Oh, that's so awesome, Christy. Great. We need a Cindy's cookbook. We'll have to work on that. I hope your day and your kitchen is filled with yummy chicken pot pie smells. To me, this is a taste of home, and it really is back to basics. So from my kitchen to your kitchen, oh, she banged me in the head. From my kitchen to your kitchen, I hope you have a lovely day. We will see you again tomorrow at 11 o'clock. Have a good one. Bye-bye.